Hi guys, it's Jordan from B&B Campers. I'm just going to do your handover video on your black VW conversion. So if we start on the bonnet, air filter over here on the left hand side, power steering fluid sits in this reservoir down here at the bottom, brake fluid attached to the servo just down the back just there, engine oil gets topped up through this cap just here at the top, and you can check your engine oil from the dipstick just down here with the orange top. Washer fluid goes in this reservoir just here at the front, and then your coolant also goes in here just next door in this reservoir with the kind of pink fluid inside it. This battery here is your engine battery, so if you ever needed to jump start the van for whatever reason, that's where you go for that. Otherwise, you've got really nice strong gas struts. I'm assuming they've been replaced because you would normally use this to hold it up, but it looks like it's been replaced for some nice strong gas struts instead, so that it just holds itself open, or actually one gas strut, sorry. The bonnet release is on the driver's side just next to the door. When you open it up, it's basically just down here but on the driver's side. Not a huge amount to show you on the passenger side. Electric window just there. Nice little transporter kick plates as soon as you get in as well, just so you can see that. I mean, obviously you've seen the van already, but there you go. Right, I'll carry on around the outside first. Not much else to show you around there on the side, I don't think. So obviously it still needs to be cleaned, so don't worry about the dirt there. Tow bar with all the electrics just down there pre-fitted, which is always really handy if you ever needed it. Bit of storage space underneath there, under the bed. Gas locker at the back just here. So if I show you, you've got space for, well, you've probably got space for a 6 kilo propane bottle in here actually. But for the minute we've just got this camping gas, what was it, 901, 907, I think it's a 907 in there. So basically you've got a little regulator on the top here, a bottle top regulator, which just turns off. So if you wanted to change the bottle, you literally just undo it by turning it like that, and then spinning the bottle off of it, tighten it back on by turning it around to the right. Switching it on is this little bit at the back. Anti-clockwise around to the left is turning it on, and clockwise around to the right like this is turning it off. So on, and the other way is off. You've got a 2020 plate, oh, not plate, 2020 dated sort of flexible hose here, so you've got till 25 to replace that. So yeah, that's all been looked after quite well. Proper LPG sticker there to indicate where it is. Nice clean storage just inside here as well, actually quite a deep cupboard for what these are. On the offside, again, not a huge amount to show you. So I'll just show you a few bits on the driver's side. So we've got your electric adjusting mirrors just there. You can lock and unlock the cab from just here, and you've got obviously both electric windows can be adjusted from there. You've got quite a nice spec cab in here. So you've got air conditioning, which a lot of them don't have. 5-speed manual gearbox, so reverse is lift up on this little plate over and up to the top left. You've also got obviously your indicators are on the left hand side, and washers and wipers on the right, but you've got lots of steering wheel controls here. I think this has actually got to be an upgraded steering wheel off one of the sort of higher line models. Lights, so side lights, main beam, and then obviously the rest of it all there is just kind of at your fan settings and things like that. Handbrake down there, and yeah, so the bonnet release is just this one, just inside there. Okay, let's just make sure there's nothing that I've missed down at the back. Oh yeah, there is. So that's your hookup point. So if you want to put your hookup cable into the van and get access to your 240 volt sockets and your charger as well, you plug it in there. And that's sort of, if you're at your campsite or at home, if you've got access to a hookup cable, it's really handy to have one of those plugged in. I'll show you why in a minute, but there we go. Okay, so To be honest, it's a really nice, simple van. All really top spec appliances, but it is nice and simple. So I'll just run you through the main bits first. So you've got your 12-volt fridge just here. You've got your temperature setting here on the right-hand side. So if you have it up here at this top or the bottom light, that'll basically give you the most or the coolest fridge you can have. After about sort of an hour or so, these tend to start getting cold, so they are really quite efficient. And then the main sort of on and off switch is just this one here, like that. Hope you can see that all right in the video. So basically on and off. Well, if you hold it a bit longer, like that. And then you can set your temperature on the right hand side. The lower the light, the more cool you're going to get. So I'll switch that off for now. So if you ever wanted, obviously you can use that when you're driving. That's kind of the idea of these vans, is that they don't use a huge amount of power. So you've got a little battery monitor down there. Leisure battery sits underneath the driving seat. So basically the fridges are designed so that they can be used without having to hook up in and things like that, but after a little while they will obviously start to drain the battery out. As soon as your battery starts going below kind of, if you see there, it's on about 12.3. As soon as your battery starts going below about 10 volts, it's it's pretty much had it, to be honest. It's you've got to keep your eye on it. If it starts getting down towards sort of like 11 and things like that, then really you want to put a hookup into the van and then keep it charged up. If you've got access to using a hookup cable anyway, it is much better to do it that way, rather than draining your battery out and filling it back up. It is really handy if you can do that, but that's up to you. Of course you've got access to using it on its own, so obviously that will work anytime whether the engine's running or not. So that's the sort of the idea. You've got something called a split relay in these vans. So when you start the engine, obviously the alternator starts charging your engine battery, but it also uses its split charger to charge the leisure battery as well at the same time. So basically you'll notice once you start driving, you'll notice that this little gauge down here will start going up to sort of 14 volts, that kind of number. And you can keep your fridge working all that time as well. So when you're driving, get to where you're going, you can leave it on if you want to. But yeah. All of your lights around the van, these ones here are touch sensitive. So they'll just come on literally just by touching the metal outside ring. So you've also got, obviously, just your plain simple sink and tap. And if I just show you whilst we're on that point, where you fill up your fresh water. So it's the same as a lot of the VW setups. You've literally got the blue pipe back there, which sucks the water up from the pump, and another little wire that goes in to power the pump. So basically what happens is, as soon as you pull that lever up on the tap, it sends power to the pump. Pump sucks the water up, sends it up to the actual tap. So it quite literally is a case of taking this out. You need to pull the pump out, and it might get a little bit wet down here, but it's designed to be okay with that. If you don't want to use it at all, you've got this lid that will literally just screw down on top of there. But otherwise, just fill this up, pop your pump into it, and sort of put it away like that, and then you'll be able to use your water. So that's as simple as it gets on the water front. The wastewater, because it's not really wastewater, it's not like shower water and things like that, it does kind of just come out at the bottom. But yeah, it's nice and simple setup, very similar to a lot of the other vans, to be honest. You got a grill here, so it's not an oven, it is just a grill. And the way you use it is you've got a piezo ignition over here. So you see the actual burner sits up there at the top, and your igniter is this little prong of metal here. So you basically got this little piezo igniter. So you basically just push that button, and every time you're pushing that button, it's sparking in there. So as long as your gas is on, push in and round to the left to pump the gas through whilst pressing on this piezo igniter, and then it will light up just like any sort of gas grill. Obviously the window has to be open when you use it, but there is a way of having it. If you want to open this up, you can close it up like that. So some people don't really know about that, but that's just like the way they were designed. Pop that bit away, close that up properly. And you've also got a piezo igniter here, which does the ignition on your hob. So so you can't actually see it on the video, but it is sparking from here to here. So again, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but you just basically push this down and turn it to the left whilst pressing on the igniter to light. Obviously this one will be the left one, this one will be the right. So they've all been checked as part of the habitation check. Nice and simple. The cupboard down here. There you go, just loads of a huge amount of storage. Obviously that little bit there is your wheel arch, or the outer wheel arch there, so you can can't really do much about that, but there's a good amount of storage actually. And also more storage in there, all nicely carpeted, so it's got a nice finish to it. The bed, you've probably seen it yourself, but you quite literally just lift this up and pull towards you. It couldn't really be much easier. If you wanted to have it out at a certain point, you just let go of that and see there it's sort of locked in place. So all the way back over like that. It's really nice and tough as well, actually. So these sockets and bits and pieces down here, this one here, the 12 volt one, will obviously work at any time pretty much, because your leisure battery powers these two. But these two over here, your 3.240 volt sockets, will only work when your hookup's plugged in. So obviously, bear that in mind. If you want heating in the van, which by the way is quite rare, especially being an e-dispatcher, that's like the top spec really. e-dispatcher and Webasto are the two ones that are, a bit more proper, and e-dispatcher is, very, very good. So we don't tend to get many issues with these at all. If you wanted to have the fan running just to pump a little bit of cool air around, you press that button there and you get a little blue light coming on. And like I said, that'll literally just start pumping air. It doesn't heat the van up, it's just hot, just cool air. And you can switch that off there. If you wanted to heat the van up, you press the one here on the right, and then you set your temperature, push and hold the button down, and then you can set your temperature. So then after about 4 or 5 minutes, you'll just literally have hot air pumping around through, where's the vent? There'll be a vent somewhere, I'm not sure where it is, but essentially you just get hot air pumping out. There'll be a little exhaust somewhere around the bottom of the van outside, and it just basically draws diesel from your diesel tank, so you don't have to fill up any separate tank. Sometimes they fit them with a little sort of gauge where they won't work if the tank's about quarter full or less. So make sure that you've got a little bit of fuel in your tank at least, if you want to use this. Reason being, obviously, it'll run out of fuel eventually if you have this on all night, for example. But a lot of lorries have these little e-dispatcher systems in, just to sort of heat the cab and things like that. So they are really nice, reliable units. And then to switch that off, you just press the same button again. So if you've got neither of these lights on, you're good to go, and it's all off. Okay, the next bit, it's still nice and simple, but it is a little bit down here. That's your RCD and MCBs. So basically, if you plugged a dodgy plug into one of the sockets, it would trip from there. You haven't actually got any 240 volt appliances, so nothing will be wired into the separate RCD. But yeah, well, actually, you have got a 240 volt appliance, which is the charger. So that was a lie there. So if the charger gave up for some reason, or something went wrong with it, it would trip from in here. So if you wanted to double check that, then you can have a little look in there first, but obviously let us know if you get any issues. But that's where that is. Really nice little detail on the bottom of the bed, the VW sign. Obviously it's the right way around if you're sitting there, but essentially just pull this little inner bed down. So it's a bit awkward with one hand just there, and you got a really good size double sort of bed up here. Obviously they are built to hold 2 adults if you really wanted to, but it is probably a bit of a squeeze. But yeah, it's all good, it's all ready to go. Push that back up. Nice strong new gas struts. Same with the actual roof as well. I'll have a couple of whacking great big gas struts on the outside. And then when you bring it down, obviously you need to tie these clips up, but they're really, really super strong. So I mean, there is a way to do it quite neatly, but really if you just pull it down and tighten it, it's that's how they're designed to work. So there you go. So I've done 240, done these bits. So yeah, the main things really, make sure that if you aren't going to use the van for a little while, make sure that you turn your fridge off. It's probably the most power draining part. So, you know, if you're going to be leaving the van for a weekend and you're not going to be in it, just make sure that you do turn that off, because when you come back to the van, you'll notice that your leisure battery will be knackered. If you do need to use it for a weekend, you know, the fridge, then I would advise you to switch it on and not worry about it too much. But if the battery level starts going down below sort of 11 volts and closer to 10, then ideally you'd plug a hookup cable into the van, and then that'll kick your charger into gear and then charge everything up whilst it's still on. Either that, or if you don't have access to any kind of a hookup, if you're out in the sticks somewhere, run the engine up for an hour, you know, or go for a drive or something like that, and that will also charge the battery up a little bit too. So I think I've pretty much covered everything in the van. There's not a huge amount to show you, but I've tried to go into, you know, decent detail with it so that you know as much as you can. If there's anything that you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, then obviously just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.